Today we're diving into 10 health foods that you're definitely using wrong, and some of this could even cause weight gain. So let's dive straight into those details. The first food is collagen. Collagen is a great source of amino acids for hair health, for bone health, for skin health, but it's not a complete protein. And a lot of people are using collagen as a complete protein source, like in their smoothies, for example. But since it's not a complete source of protein, your body doesn't actually use it in the same way as it would a complete source like a protein powder or like Greek yogurt. So it's perfectly fine to be adding in collagen to something like a smoothie or chia pudding, but just make sure that you're actually pairing it with a complete protein source as well. Otherwise, this could lead to things like muscle loss or increased hunger from not getting enough protein. Now, if you're new here, my name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance. On my channel, I teach you the tips and strategies that you can use to achieve your weight loss and wellness goals. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. And today's video is also sponsored by LMNT. More on them in a bit. Now, the second health food that you're using wrong is vitamin D. If you're taking vitamin D without getting enough vitamin K2, this can actually cause a further deficiency in vitamin K2. Now, vitamin K2 has not gotten as much attention, unfortunately, unless you're watching my channel, but you need it to get calcium out of your arteries and into your bones. In other words, it helps to prevent calcification of the arteries and therefore heart disease. And it helps to improve bone health as a result. So you definitely don't want a deficiency of vitamin K2. Thankfully, there are a lot of vitamin D supplements that you can take that also have vitamin K2 in it. So you'll want to make sure to get a vitamin D and K2 combination if you are taking D as a supplement. But I personally just like to make sure I'm getting a lot of K2 from my food. And you'll mostly find vitamin K2 from grass-fed dairy products like Greek yogurt or cheeses, or from pasture-raised eggs or natto, the fermented soy product. I personally haven't tried it, so I actually don't know how to pronounce it, but it's loaded with vitamin K2. Okay, the third food is eggs. Just please stop leaving out the yolk. And I know there's going to be people in the comments who say I say yolk wrong and that it's yolk, but I like the L emphasis. Yolk. In the actual egg yolk is where you get something crucial called choline. And you only really get it from the yolk. Choline is required for liver detoxification. In fact, a choline deficiency can even lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease because choline is required to help break down that fat around the liver. But it's also really important for brain development as well. And eggs are one of the richest sources of choline. In fact, just 3 eggs per day can pretty much completely cover your daily needs when you eat the yolk. Okay, the fourth food is salt. You're probably not having enough. Salt was demonized for a very long time for causing high blood pressure, but too little salt can cause a lot of problems. Not only could this lead to issues like hyponatremia, which can cause low energy or muscle aches, but it's even been studied that low salt diets can cause insulin resistance. And the more insulin resistant you are, the harder it is to tap into fat burning. Especially if you're using something like intermittent fasting or exercise, your electrolyte needs are even higher. Now, I like to use a pinch of Celtic sea salt in my morning water to make sure I get my electrolytes in, and then of course using it on my food throughout the day. But you can also use a high quality electrolyte replacement like today's sponsor, LMNT. LMNT is a zero sugar electrolyte replacement that was created with fasting in mind. Like I mentioned, when you are intermittent fasting, your sodium requirements really increase because your body is releasing so much of it during the fast. And because LMNT is zero sugar, it's a great electrolyte replacement that can also work for your weight loss and wellness goals. And it's really easy to use. You just tear it open, dump it in your water, give it a shake, and you're ready to go. My favorite flavors really change over time. Raspberry salt used to be my favorite, and I still love it, but the mango chili and lemon habanero have been my immediate go-tos as of late. I think it's like that little bit of spice that I like, but I also like using their unflavored option, especially during my morning fast. And you can get 8 days worth of LMNT for free. All you have to do is pay for the shipping by clicking the link down description below. So you can experiment with getting more optimal hydration by getting your electrolytes and your water. Okay, the fifth health food that you're probably using wrong is apple cider vinegar, or even just vinegar in general has been studied to help stabilize blood glucose levels after you've eaten, but just don't take shots of it. Of course, vinegar is going to be more acidic. So when you take just a pure shot of apple cider vinegar, you're not going to feel so great. You're probably going to feel pretty nauseous, not to mention there could be issues with your enamel. But when you add vinegar into your water and dilute it, it actually changes the pH and the acidity. It makes it less acidic. So I always like to make sure to dilute my vinegar with about 8 to 12 ounces of water per every 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Okay, the sixth health food you're using wrong is activated charcoal. Now, this is one that you might have noticed was really trendy for a while. There were like these activated charcoal lattes and smoothies and burger buns claiming that the activated charcoal would help to detoxify you while you're eating this ice cream. And And it is true that activated charcoal is a really great tool for detoxification and for absorbing toxins out of the GI tract, but, and a huge but here, you can actually create huge nutrition deficiencies when you pair activated charcoal with your food. So if you're having it in a latte, or you're having it in your meal, or even with your meal, it's absorbing those nutrients from your food so your body isn't able to get access to it. Typically, you want about a 2-hour window before and after you're eating when you take activated charcoal. Okay, the 7th is protein powder. A lot of people are just having protein powder on its own, and this isn't necessarily going to serve your weight loss or even muscle gain results. Now, from a weight loss perspective, you need both protein and fat to trigger satiety and prevent sugar cravings later in the day. Both protein and fat trigger different satiety hormones to help keep you feeling full and satisfied. So if you just have protein, you're more likely to have those increased cravings later in the day. Not to mention, it's been studied from a fitness goal perspective that when you combine protein and fat, you actually get more muscle synthesis or muscle creation versus when you just have protein alone. So regardless of what your goal is, you don't want to just be having protein on its own. You want to make sure that you're pairing it with a fat source, which is why I create protein, fat, and fiber rich smoothies. I have so many recipes, and these are so great to have as a first meal or even a lunch for that matter. I'll have one of my favorites linked in the description below, but you can also check it out with the card right here. Okay, the 8th health food that you're using wrong is water. You can actually have too much water. This is called hyponatremia, and in really severe cases, it can even cause death from brain swelling. When you have too much water, it can cause your blood sodium levels to really get diluted, and this can cause your cells to swell up, including your brain cells. And this is sometimes seen in marathon runners who don't take electrolytes when they're having water, which is why it is so important to make sure that you are getting enough electrolytes with your water intake. Okay, the 9th food you're using wrong is acai. Acai is actually a really great zero sugar fruit option to be using in your smoothies or even to mix into something like chia pudding, which that sounds like a great idea. I have to create a recipe for that because acai is literally 0 grams of sugar. Big goose egg. But because it is 0 sugar, especially when you're getting an acai bowl at a restaurant, there's typically a lot of sugar added in, usually in the form of honey or bananas, and typically a lot of bananas to get it really creamy. I've often seen about 2 to 3 bananas used in acai bowls along with additional things like honey and dates. And this can really make the sugar content skyrocket and completely negate the benefit you got of 0 sugar from acai. Just one medium-sized banana has about 14 grams of sugar, so if you're having about 2 to 3 bananas in there, that's about 28 to 42 grams of sugar. So if you want to make a smoothie bowl with acai, but you don't want all of that sugar, especially if you're carb sensitive, you can use other thickening agents like frozen cauliflower rice or frozen avocado or frozen zucchini to help get that more smoothie bowl consistency without the candy-sized bar amount of sugar. Okay, the 10th health food you're using wrong are calcium supplements. Especially if you're a woman, you might not want to be taking calcium supplements. There's been quite a few studies lately that have found calcium supplements can actually increase the risk of heart disease. And this is likely because of a lack of vitamin K2, like what we talked about earlier, to actually transport that calcium you're taking in out of the arteries and into the bones. So if the calcium is just floating around your arteries and never actually getting into your bones, that could theoretically lead to increased calcification and heart disease risk. This is why I personally like to get my calcium from food sources, especially those that are also naturally packaged with vitamin K2. So things like grass-fed fermented dairy products are a great way to get both. My personal favorite, Greek yogurt. In fact, you can test out one of my favorite smoothie recipes using Greek yogurt with this video next. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.